Good afternoon, friends. Today is, what day are we on? May 14th. It is May 14th. I'm hoping that my sound is coming through okay. To me, in my headphones, it sounds clear and crisp and loud, and that's what I'm hoping it is for you too. But again, still learning, and I just want to get the information, and I just want to get the words out. That's my ultimate goal. Something that I came across today I want to talk about is, Sri Thanadar, who is a House representative. I'm not exactly sure from where, but he is the first person to write articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. Sri Thanadar. I'm going to try to put up an image for you of who he is. And the title of this independent article is House Democrats Furious as Congressman Launches, quote, Waste of Time Impeachment Proceedings Against Trump. And while this is what I'm talking about. Procedurally, yes. Is it a waste of time? Yes. Will they get the votes? No. But what Sri Thanadar is doing is he is showing the American people, because an impeachment is something that gets people's attention, right? And there, like we've talked about before, are just millions and millions of Americans who are just so fed up with all of it that they have shut it out. And while I can't blame them, I need them to come back to reality. And Sri Thanadar, with these articles of impeachment, one, does he have the right to do them? Yes, absolutely. Donald Trump has committed so many violations against our Constitution, against our people, against due process, against the rule of law. Yes, he has the right to file articles of impeachment against this orange turd. And for Democrats to be, quote, furious? Friends, what he's doing is he's bringing attention to a problem to people who may not otherwise know what's going on because they have turned off the news. And by turned off the news, I mean they don't care anymore. They're not paying attention that their freedoms and their Constitution is on the verge of collapse. We are on the verge of turning into a country like Russia or Turkey. And that is, in fact, that's who Donald Trump is getting all of his ideas from other dictators around the world. So this is not a waste of time. And the fact that our Democrats are considering it a waste of time tells me that they're not paying attention to the problem at hand, which is that people are not paying attention. And he's looking for a way to get the attention of the American people, and that is going to happen. When you file articles of impeachment, yes, you're going to have the maggots on the right going, this is stupid, they're not going to vote for it, it's never going to happen. And yes, the Democrats need to go, sorry, we know it's not going to work, but we need people to pay attention to what this man is doing. We need people who may hear a blip between songs on the radio about it to go, wait a minute, did I hear articles of impeachment? Let me look into why. I have talked at length about the problem of Americans not paying attention. We've talked about 90 million people not voting, whether that be 9 million of them being kicked off of their voter rolls, or 81 million people going, I don't fucking care anymore. This is all crazy. Right? And I also can't wrap my head around that ideology, because the only thing that was crazy in this election was Trump, was this orange motherfucker and his administration. Kamala Harris was bringing back common sense. Kamala Harris was bringing back decorum. Kamala Harris was bringing back respectability in our politics. And for people to go, oh, I can't, it's just too much, I have to check out. You're a pussy. You're a pussy. And, might I add, if you were like, I can't vote for Trump, I can't vote for Kamala Harris because she's for what's happening in Palestine. And then to turn around and say, but I'm not voting for Trump. There were two fucking candidates, you guys. There was Harris and Trump. Period. Fucking period. And if you didn't vote for Kamala, then you voted for Trump. Period. You can't say I care about Palestine and then vote third party or don't vote at all and then complain that Palestine is about to lose their home because you did that. You are the reason that happened. We warned you that you would be the reason that happened. We told you that we would never let you live that down either, and I don't intend to. I do not intend to. I am for Palestine. I am for freeing Palestine. I am for giving them everything they need to rebuild, to free themselves from the tyranny of Israel. I know that. And there are people in Israel who are against what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. But the right answer was not to vote for a third fucking party. That was not the answer. You guys fucked up big time at this. If you were voting third party or sitting out the vote because of the Israel situation, you fucked up big time. I don't have another way to put that. You made the wrong decision because you were too fucking proud. You were too fucking proud to do what other people were telling you to do. The people who were, I'm just going to say it, smarter than you, who could play the tape through and say, yes, if Donald Trump wins, you're going to see Palestine crumble. In fact, it was not many days after inauguration that there was an AI video going around of Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu with raining money down on them, dancing in streets of gold. They want to turn Gaza into the next, what is it called? What's the place? In Nevada, whatever it is. You know, casinos, gambling, money, just fucking, I can't believe you guys would, I can't, but we have to move on. I don't know how we got here, but Sri Thanadar has filed articles of impeachment, and your status quo Democrats are like, oh, this is a waste of my time. And it may very well be a waste of your personal fucking time procedurally. Yes, we know that. Nobody's dumb to that fact. But is it waking up Americans? Probably. Will more people get in the streets and protest with us? Yes. So thank you, Sri Thanadar, for doing what the American people asked you to do. Let's move on to David Hogg, by the way. David Hogg won a seat as a vice chair of the DNC. There's 3 vice chairs and a chair. I think his name is Ken Martin is the chair. And if you aren't paying attention and you don't know what's going on, the DNC promised big change and we're going to do things right and pay attention to the working man and, progressive issues. And now they're back to their status quo bullshit. And the only person doing anything is David Hogg. David Hogg is he's a young person. I think he's Gen Z. But he was a victim of a school shooting. It wasn't Sandy Hook. I forget which one it was. I'm sorry, I don't have it off the top of my head. But he was a survivor of a school shooting. And he fought from that moment, from the time he was in high school, he was being loud, he was being vocal. And we knew he was going to do big things. And so he won this seat as the vice chair. And now what he wants to do, he's got a side hustle, raising money to primary, listen, and this is what's pissing them off, friends, to primary Democrats who are not doing their fucking job. Everyone's saying we want younger, we want better. This isn't even about younger. Bernie Sanders could be the person who primaries a status quo Democrat. We're trying to get more progressive candidates in the seats. This pendulum has swung so far to the right that I am going to push to swing that motherfucker back as far left as it'll go and break the fucking pendulum. And that is what David Hogg is doing. He's telling status quo Democrats, wake the fuck up because you're not doing what the people want. The money, the donations to the Democrats have fallen. They have just nosedived because nobody wants to give money to a group of people doing nothing. Doing literally nothing. And yes, the American people who vote for you are pissed because we don't have a choice. We have to vote for you, and you know that. And David Hogg is doing something about it, and so the DNC is trying to push him out. All of a sudden, not after the election, but now all of a sudden, the woman who was running for that seat is now filed a complaint saying that the election for the vice chair position wasn't fair. She came out of the woodwork, friends. She didn't file this complaint after David Hogg won. No, she came out of the woodwork after there were problems in the DNC with what David Hogg was doing. Now they have to have a new election within the DNC. This isn't between me and you. You and I don't get to vote for David Hogg. The people in the DNC will. And now that they know that David Hogg is going to go and get candidates, find candidates who are progressive to primary, oh God, the words escape me today. I'm so sorry. To primary Democrats who aren't doing their jobs, will he win again? Probably not. And we can attribute all of this, and they say, oh, this has nothing to do with what David Hogg is doing. They wanted to make sure that they said that. To ask me if I fucking believe you. No fucking way do I believe you. Because if she had a problem, she would have made that complaint right after the election. Not now. Not right now. After you guys have a big problem with what David Hogg is doing. So be aware. Keep your eyes on that. Feel free to call the DNC. Hold, please. Feel free to call the DNC. You can call Ken Martin's office. It's Googleable. And you can call him and say, what you're doing is so far against what people want that's why you're fucking broke. Ken or Kevin, whatever the fuck his name is, Mr. Martin. The reason you're not getting donations and you're living off of the funds that we gave to Kamala Harris probably is because you are fucking everything up. The American people asked you for big change and you won't do it. And so you send text messages. Each one of your candidates send text messages begging for money. And the minute we get them, it's delete, stop. Fuck you. I'm sorry. I know there are some big, I'm a lifelong Democrat people out there. But you have got to call out the shit when it happens. And what's happening right now is not okay. They are doing nothing. They are chastising those people who do something. What is that all about? Make that make fucking sense. Everything doesn't have to end with a win in order for it to be done. Sometimes you do it because you need eyes on it. Sometimes you do it because you want to watch the Republicans vote no against children. Feeding children. Sometimes you do it because you want to show the world that the Republicans are voting to kill the elderly people and force them into the streets and take their money and funnel it into the pockets of billionaires. Sometimes that's the reason. We don't always have to win in order to make something happen. Sometimes it's just to put attention on something. And Democrats know that. I'm not saying anything they don't fucking know. They're just being lazy and going, well, I guess if this is what the American people want, this is what they get. They're acting like we deserve this. That's what they're acting like it's our fault, not theirs. That's what I see when I watch their actions. When I see Hakeem Jeffries in a hoodie saying, this won't stand, this will never happen, we won't let this happen, and then it happens. And it's fucking silence. Silence from the Democrats. The only people I hear from on a consistent daily basis is Ayanna Pressley, Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders, David Hogg. I'm hearing from just a select few out of the fucking hundreds of elected Democrats. And you've got Democrats siding with Republicans like that Glusenkamp bitch. I knew when she got elected, man. I mean, I had a feeling because her ad was like chopping wood and shit. And I was like, this bitch is establishment Democrat who's going to roll with Republicans. I knew it. I fucking knew it. However, we needed a Democrat, and so we had to vote for her, right? And so we did. Hey, congratulations to Omaha, Nebraska. They got their first black male mayor. I forget his name. I just saw it this morning. So Omaha, Nebraska, you guys fucking rocked it. If Omaha, Nebraska can do it, so can this country, right? So can this country. We can elect a black woman. Jasmine Crockett went on a podcast and she said that the Democrats already have the person they plan to run in 2028, and it's another establishment white male Democrat. That's what Jasmine said in a podcast. So I don't know who that is. If you guys know, I'm hoping it's not Gavin Newsom. He has a lot of people. He's been in politics and there so long that he has gained a lot of negative following and impact, and I don't think Gavin Newsom is a good choice. I really don't. Anyway, I don't think Pete Buttigieg would win either. I really don't. I think he's a great guy, but I don't think he would win. But I would like to know who it is, so spill the beans, Jasmine. Spill the beans. All right, friends. I'm going to take a quick break here. We'll come back to you, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on, and we'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so something that I hate to discuss always is the reality that there are people fleeing this nation en masse. And I'm not talking about immigrants going back to their own countries. I'm talking about Americans fleeing their own country. And for a long time, people kept saying I was being hyperbolic about leaving this country. And I know a lot of you who follow me and who listen and who agree don't think I'm being hyperbolic, but there's the majority of Americans don't think it's something necessary. But let me tell you something. 3 professors who study fascism, totalitarianism, all of that, just wrote an op-ed in the New York Times. It's in video format. Marcy Shore, Timothy Snyder, and Jason Stanley. And they are all talking about why they are leaving the United States. And I would like to pull up a clip for you.
I'm a historian of totalitarianism.
I look at fascist rhetoric.
I've been thinking about the sources of the worst kinds of history for a quarter of a century.
Experts say the constitutional crisis is here now.
The Trump administration deporting hundreds of men without a trial.
A massive purge at the FBI to make people afraid of speaking out against him.
I'm leaving to the University of Toronto because I want to do my work without the fear that I will be punished for my words.
The lesson of 1933 is you get out sooner rather than later.
I've spent a lot of time in the last decade trying to prepare people if Trump were elected once, let alone twice.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
I did not flee Trump, but if people are going to leave the United States or leave American universities, there are reasons for that. One thing you can definitely learn from Russians
is that it's essential to set up centers of resistance in places of relative safety.
We want to make sure that if there is a political crisis in the U.S., that Americans are organized.
We've just gotten started. You haven't even seen anything yet. It's all just kicking in.
My colleagues and friends, they were walking around and saying, we have checks and balances, so let's inhale, checks and balances, exhale, checks and balances. And I thought, my God, we're like people on the Titanic saying our ship can't sink. We've got the best ship, we've got the strongest ship, we've got the biggest ship, our ship can't sink. And what you know as a historian is that there is no such thing as a ship that can't sink.
The golden age of America has only just begun.
America has long had an exceptionalist narrative. Fascism can happen elsewhere, but not here.
But talking about American exceptionalism is basically a way to get people to fall into line. If you think that there's this thing out there called America, and it's exceptional, that means that you don't have to do anything. Whatever is happening, it must be freedom. And so then what your definition of freedom is just gets narrowed and narrowed and narrowed and narrowed, and soon you're using the word freedom, but what you're talking about is authoritarianism.
Toni Morrison warned us.
The descent into a final solution is not a jump. It's one step. And then another. And then another.
We are seeing those steps accelerated right now.
There are some words, in Russian in particular, that I feel help us to understand what's happening in the United States, because we now have those phenomena. Произвол. It's the idea that the powers that be can do anything they want to you, and you have no recourse. This not knowing who is next creates a state of paralysis in society.
The Tufts student whose visa was removed because she co-authored an article in the Tufts student newspaper.
I thought, what would I do if guys in masks tried to grab my student? Would I scream? Would I run away? Would I try to pull the mask off? Would I try to videotape the scene? Would I try to pull the guys off of her? Maybe I would get scared and run away. The truth is, I don't know. Not knowing terrified me.
It's a deliberate act of terror. It's not necessary. It's just being done to create a spirit of us and them.
Продажность. It's a word in Russian for corruption, but it's larger than corruption. It refers to a kind of existential state in which not only everything but everyone can be bought or sold.
Critics are calling this a quid pro quo deal between Adams and President Trump.
I'm committed to buying and owning gossip. He made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million.
There's an expression in Polish. I found myself at the very bottom, and then I heard knocking from below. In Russian, that gets abbreviated to there is no bottom.
We cannot allow a handful of communist radical left judges to obstruct the enforcement of our laws.
What starts to matter is not what is concealed, but what has been normalized. There's no limit to the depravity.
President Trump did not rule out the possibility of a third term.
And the sadism.
The White House released this video titled ASMR, Illegal Alien Deportation Flight.
And the cruelty that we are watching now play out in real time.
This facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use.
You have to continually ask yourself the question, is this okay? Is there a line I wouldn't cross? Is there something I would not do?
People say, oh, the Democrats should be doing more, they should be fixing things. But if you want the Democrats to do things, you have to create the platform for them. You have to create the spectacle, the pageantry, the positive energy, the physical place where they can come to you.
Poland recently went through a shift towards authoritarianism. Unlike in Russia, unlike in Hungary, the media remained a place in Poland where you could criticize the regime. And as a result, democracy returned. The moral of Poland is that our democratic institutions, the media, the university, and the courts are essential. You know you're living in a fascist society when you're constantly going over in your head the reasons why you're safe. What we want is a country.
So I hope that you guys got out of that what I was trying to convey, which is that we are not safe. We are not safe. We have fallen to complete totalitarianism, a kakistocracy, which is where the dumbest among us are leading the people. We're the most inept. They talk about a meritocracy. There's no such thing as a meritocracy in this administration. None of these people have earned their position by merit. Most of them are criminals. Most of them are shady. What are we doing here, people? What are we doing? You know, something was said in that video where they talked about Democrats needing us to give them the stage to stand up and to fight. And I think that we have successfully been doing that. In fact, we gave them a 5 million strong army of people across the nation a month ago, and it was still crickets. They were still silent, you guys. Not all of them. Of course, you know, there's the handful who capitalized on the moment and tried to motivate more people, but we need to be like Poland. And as much as I fucking hate the New York Times for their dereliction of their duties to call out the fascism before it got here instead of giving it a platform, we need to make sure that the New York Times can continue to post these op-eds, that they can continue to say, maybe this isn't what we thought we were getting, but now we're going to make sure we speak on it. I don't know. I'm not trying to stand up for the New York Times, but what I am saying is if this administration comes for the New York Times, we have to stand up for the New York Times because it is a media outlet. And if they start to silence them, which they've already done with PBS and NPR and the, what's that other one? There was a federally run radio program that was created during World War II to stomp out, Nazi propaganda or whatever. And that radio program still exists today. And this administration tried to shut it down and turn it into like what Russia has. You know, the Russian network that is completely controlled by the government, where all the news projected on that is from the government, which we cannot trust. And here's the thing, friends, I am afraid, I won't lie to you. Speaking out, being one of the people speaking out is frightening, because if they do start coming for people, they're coming for us first. So that is why you hear me saying I've got a GoFundMe in my link tree to help us save money to get a lawyer to get us out of here. Because we may not even have time to do that. We may be fleeing for the border with our luggage and our dog. They're even stopping cars at the border. They're even stopping cars at the borders and arresting them. You know, this administration said, we're going to pay for the flight. Immigrants, if you want to get out of here, we're going to pay for the airplane ride. But they also set up checkpoints so that people leaving, immigrants who are on their way out, are getting arrested. They're getting arrested. So tell me what part of everything we've been saying is hyperbolic. If you're fleeing this country, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. What we should have is places like Canada saying, we will take you. Come to our country. Help us rebuild our infrastructure. Help us build a bigger, more powerful Canada. We'll open our borders to anyone willing to work. That's what Canada should be doing. They should be capitalizing on this moment where hardworking Americans just want to live in fucking peace and work and pay their bills and go on with their days and get their kids to softball practice and get their kids to dance. And we just want our life back. And if Canada can provide that to good, hardworking people, they should be letting us in. If you hear me, Canada, you should be letting us in. So I don't have much more to say, you guys. I'm sorry this podcast is so short, but I wanted to talk to you about all of the aforementioned things, and I want you to take it seriously. There is no such thing as an unsinkable ship, as this lady's basically saying in this video. We are not unsinkable. The checks and balances in this country have broken down. And here we sit, like sitting ducks. Am I safe? How do I know if I'm... And I'm not. Some of you may be able to say I am because I'm a white man. Some of you may say I'm a straight woman married to a white man. I'm safe. But for those of us who are gay, who are married, who have children, who are speaking out, we are not safe. So I'll leave you with that. Do with that what you will, friends. Donations to my GoFundMe are in my link tree. You can access my link tree in just about any one of my bios. And if you feel like donating, find me a pay pig to help us get out of here. I certainly wouldn't turn it down. But everyone have a fantastic weekend. Do the best you can while the world crumbles around you. I love you. You know I do. Have a wonderful week.
Where none of us have to feel that way.